Hello there, kia ora. On Monday, we saw a masterclass in trying to fix a problem that someone had exacerbated without taking responsibility of having exacerbated that problem. When Nicola Willis changed the rules around working from home for government employees to help save Wellington CBD. And there's lots of complicating factors here at play, like the fact that Wellington isn't the only centre where the CBD is struggling, or that our method for shopping has been evolving over decades, that mountains of research have found that while work from home is preferred by employees and tends to lead to people being more productive, that it's not liked by employers and can sometimes make employees feel like they're missing out on things like promotions or social interaction, that businesses often feel that they need a single target to blame for downturn periods, but the reality is there's often no magic bullet to fix it. But the narrative that was presented by the finance minister is one of entitled staff creating the lament of cafe owners by selfishly just choosing to stay home whenever they like and putting it on the national stage actually makes it seem like a huge problem when in reality it's a decision that impacts maybe about 2% of the workforce nationally. The reality is very different to the narrative presented. No civil servant is working from home without the authorization of their management, and definitely not working from home considering it an entitlement. And very few, if any, are working from home full time. They have more of a hybrid working arrangement of 3 days in the office, 2 at home each week. This helps with productivity, ensures social interaction, helps decrease issues around congestion, and allows staff a better work life balance. For some who may be dealing with a disability or childcare, work from home is a great tool to ensure that they can still be productive and meet the needs that they have in other areas. But what Wellington has that has had a bigger impact on CBD spending that no other centre has is a concentration of government workers, a sector that's seen over 6,000 people laid off already. And some economists are predicting that that's just the start to meet the spending caps imposed by the government, which has disproportionately impacted numbers in that area specifically, in the midst of a recession during a cost of living crisis. So people have less discretionary money to spend on non-essentials, which, that money still has to cover the rising costs of essentials like power. And this government has told government employees not to expect a pay rise this year. Since this government took power, Wellington has been the region which has seen the biggest increase in unemployment levels. And those government sector roles aren't the only ones that are being lost due to government choices. After all, they campaigned and were pushing for the loss of major infrastructure overhauls like Let's Get Wellington Moving. The construction sector had major declines. The creative sector had major funding cuts. Sectors that government policy directly impacts are suffering, and tourism still recovering from the impacts of pandemic measures. The inaction of this government on the cost of living crisis impacts Wellington workers as much as it impacts everyone else around the country. But it's not like there's a regional fuel tax there that the government can remove to say they're fixing the problem, while passing the costs on to local government, which increases rates, which keeps pressure on the cost of living crisis like they did in Auckland. And it's surely a coincidence that right-leaning media personalities that are soft on this government spent the weekend lamenting work from home as an excuse for people to take 4-day weekends. The fact is, there's many businesses out there struggling all over the country, but the factors that are leading to the struggle aren't caused by some workers working from home some of the time. If we look at comparable countries like Australia, the UK, and America, they've managed to grow their economies, even if it's only just growth, and get their inflation relatively under control, facing the same international pressures we have, and arguably from a worse position than this government started from. What the Wellington CBD and business areas all over the country are dealing with are changes to the way we have evolved our lifestyles to deal with changes in technology, communication, transport, and social interaction, and the impacts of the government's decisions to tank the economy, to underfund the machinery that makes our economy and the country work, to pay for their tax cuts. The answer isn't conservatives telling people to have more avocado toast, but it is refreshing, I guess, that they haven't told struggling business owners to cut back on that like they often do when it's workers and young people struggling. Here, the links to other things that come at the end of YouTube videos.